Hello, everyone. Adrian Groenewald, Me Vision Academy. It's wonderful to be with you. And again, today we hand a Successful Leader Award to a leader nominated by Dr. Luis van Rijn. Before I introduce him, we remind you that we are mobilizing successful leaders across the world from different countries, different sectors, and on different levels. These are individuals who consciously work on improving themselves, improving others, improving their organizations, improving society, and therefore they will help us turn the tide on a decline that we often find in our society. So it's wonderful to meet these leaders. They are individuals that are shaking the tree and moving forward and changing the world. Today we've got Sylvester Chauke. He's the founder and chief architect at DNA Brand Architects, and it's wonderful to have him here. Welcome, Sylvester.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me. It's really an honor.
I'm going to do the formalities, hand you the award, and then we'll talk about leadership for a few minutes, how you view leadership and why you're so hugely successful in your industry across Africa and broader. Sylvester was just telling me about their accolades and how well they do, and it's actually remarkable. So he must have something to tell us about his leadership. This is an exclusive recognition of successful leadership awarded to Sylvester Chauke for at least the following: redefining brand architecture in South Africa and beyond through award-winning strategies at DNA Brand Architects. Also inspiring global thought leadership through ethical advocacy and impactful TED Talks. Earning acclaim as a top 100 influential African and all-Africa young business leader. And empowering youth and driving social good. I think there's much more, but that's at least what you receive the award for. It's my privilege to sign on behalf of Me Vision Academy, a journey to best self, and I extend a formal congratulations, Sylvester.
Thank you so much for that. It really is such an encouragement, and it's doing what we love to do. It's what I do every day, and I love it so much. And to have an accolade for doing what I love is always such a refreshing thing, and it's really incredible. Thank you so much for that honor, and I take it with pride, and I'm thankful.
Do you love what you do so much that it feels like you don't work? You're not working, or is that a bit exaggerated?
Somewhere along that line, absolutely. I think it's such an honor and a privilege to do the work that you've always wanted to do. And ever since I was 12 years old, I wanted to do what I'm doing now. So you can imagine then that every day I wake up, I'm absolutely in awe of that opportunity to be able to really get to do the things that I've always wanted to do for when I was a preteen. So I'm really grateful. And yes, it doesn't feel like work sometimes, but it's not always like that. Sometimes it really does feel like work for sure. But at least it's work that I love and work that I enjoy.
It reminds me of some of our top sports stars, top tennis players who from young teenage years and earlier, they wanted to win Wimbledon or they wanted to play tennis. And now they're doing it. They're following their dream. You're just in another field. Tell us what successful leadership looks like. What have you discovered yourself and seen around you?
The one thing that's really important in my world has been that I have been really lucky to also be led by incredible leaders. I think leaders, they learn some of the best qualities of leadership from other people. And in my career, certainly from when I finished university right up to when I started DNA Brand Architects, I was very blessed to work with CEOs and leaders who embodied the qualities that I absolutely loved about leadership, what leadership can do. And so as I was growing up, I realized that, geez, I want to lead like Robbie Brosen at Nando's. I want to lead like Nunu Njengela at Ogilvy. I want to lead like Alex Okosi at Google. So there's been some of those moments where I think I've learned so much of how to lead from really great leaders. So I think the quality of leadership is something that can be learned and is something that can inspire others to become better. But certainly for me, what has been very clear has been that good leaders, they always move people to desired results, of course, desired goals, but the goals that always benefit the people, they themselves, but they benefit their families, it benefits the community, and of course, the society at large, because good leaders, they're not just leading in the companies that they are leading at specifically, but they also get to lead in the community in which they operate. And I must say, in my experience, good leaders, they always bring out the best in people, just like how I have been inspired by my previous leaders to be the best that I can be, helping them extend their skill set, and the horizons, and of course, building other leaders. So in my world, I think there's a lot to be said for where we come from as leaders and the leaders that have made us better leaders and us then going to become leaders of the future.
So great leaders are great mentors, maybe subconsciously and consciously.
I think that good leaders absolutely get their energy from seeing other people thrive. And I think for me, it's something that I've seen obviously in my previous roles where I've been led by leaders who led like that. And for me, I also felt very natural in that space. It's not so much about what I'm achieving myself, but I think it's what I'm helping other people achieve for themselves. It's always amazing to see someone walk into your organization and years later they are the most incredible leader, in the business, but also externally out of it. So mentorship is critical because I think it also allows for us to continue to, um, inspire and keep that leadership, torch, lit as we move forward.
Mm. Are you conscious every day of the fact that you're a leader more than a technical expert in advertising or brand design and that sort of thing? I mean, how much of your job is still technical versus how much is actually inspiring your people and leading them, energizing them?
You know, Adrian, I think what has been very clear for me is that over time, I have come to realize that I am a leader, and I must a while, right? Because sometimes you always don't want, you feel like, I've got to be humble in this process, right? And so I don't say I am a leader and I'm going to sort of come on and take over kind of thing. But over time, I've come to realize that I actually love being a leader, and so much so that it's something that's important for me. I know that I wake up every morning, I think, let me go and lead. Let me go and do the best that I can. So I'd say over time, yes, started off as a technical expert in areas, and of course, managing different roles. But over time in my career, I realized that besides just managing the technical capabilities required for my roles, I also needed to be a leader. And that means that I want to be a role model for people in my organization. I may not lead them technically, but I also want them to look at me and see a leader in the way I show up in the office, in the way that I show up, at church, in the way that I show up with my family. I now know that it's something that I wake up knowing that I've got to, be true to that, because that's what I am and that's who I feel I am.
You seem passionate, just not just about leading your organization, but broader society. Where does that come from? So you do feel you want to change society to help Africa improve the world. Where does that come from, do you think?
It really does come from my upbringing, and I think my leadership journey across many different roles that I've had in the past, where I got to see firsthand the impact that good leaders can have in not only the organizations that they work in, but absolutely out there as well. So from my perspective, being able to be a student at UJ, for an example, and sitting in class and seeing leaders come in to inspire us, to talk to us about what's happening in the world, to spend their time, giving and pouring into us as students, or at church where you see leaders who are leading young people and helping them in facing challenges that they're facing, that they may not necessarily be be getting support at a work environment. Leaders in our communities, for sure, running soup kitchens and helping, young people, navigate getting internships, or navigate getting blankets when it's cold. So I think good leaders, I believe, benefit not just the organizations that they work in, they absolutely do benefit the community at large. And I've seen it, being inspiring to me. And as a result, over time, I've kind of challenged myself as a leader to say, what are you doing to be able to advance your community? What are you doing in your previous school? Do you still go to the university that you graduated at? And do you go and inspire people just like how you were inspired? I do think that, like they say, to whom much is given, much is expected. And I really do believe in that. When you are blessed, when you have the capabilities, it's so much better to be able to take those capabilities and sprinkle them all over many different areas or facets of your life as much as possible.
My last question is, from the moment I met you, I sensed an incredible energy. Now, how much of that energy comes from success, comes from just your personality, you've always been that way, or comes from you having found your purpose in life?
Adrian, that's an incredible question, because sometimes I wonder, right? I wonder, where does this energy come from? And I have to say, I feel inherently, ever since I was a young boy, I knew, and growing up in Soweto, in my world, in my heart of hearts, I wanted to be a positive force, a positive energy in my family. I've always wanted to make my family laugh. I've always wanted to be involved in my community church. I always wanted to be involved in the community dance company. So I've always been what they call a chacharach young child, right? Who wanted just to be everywhere. And I have to say, I think over time, with confidence and with learning, with mentorship, it's become even more strong. So I'd say it's something that I grew up with. It's something that has been inherently within me, but I think over time it's just found ways to blossom and to get more comfortable as I got to learn a lot and as I got mentored throughout the last couple of years to really hone into that energy. And interestingly enough, in our walls of our agency, both in Cape Town and Johannesburg, when you walk in, there's a neon sign. And on the neon sign, there are three words there that says values. One is about the values that we all should share about us being a community before we are just individuals. The second thing is skill set. So to have the skill. So it says values, it says skill. Then the third one is energy, because I've always understood that the energy which we bring into every area of our lives can determine the kind of outcome that happens. So it's become a value for us as well, that energy, you need to just harness it. And where you can find it, you want to make sure that it is given the opportunity to shine as much as possible. So I guess I can thank my parents for this innate energy, but also thank my creator for depositing it in me to allow me to be able to express my life in the way that I do.
But have you found your purpose? I mean, it seems like you knew what you wanted to do from young. It doesn't necessarily mean your purpose, but it's very close because you're doing what you're passionate about. But have you found your purpose in life? Why you wake up every day? What you're here to do?
Absolutely. I have found my purpose. And I think over time, I used to struggle with this actually when I was much younger in my career, because I used to think, when am I going to have that moment where it goes, ta-da, here's the purpose, But I think sometimes purpose is deep rooted. It really is within your grasp. You understand what you want to be doing. And certainly in my case, it felt like from when I was young, I knew I wanted to be in this world. But over time, to get to that purpose was more around the things that really make me happy, that fulfill me deeply. And that is really to teach. To teach makes me really happy. To teach is a purpose for me. And so as a leader, I always look at moments where I can share, I can teach, I can learn so I can teach forward. And it's been a real awakening for me to realize that, wow, at the core of who I am and what I do in terms of my vocation and my career, the thing that makes me incredibly happy, that is my purpose, is to teach and inspire. And I think it's something that has been quite clear for me.
Sylvester Chauke, founder and chief architect at DNA Brand Architects, thank you so much for your time, and absolutely congratulations for being an energetic, successful leader out there and helping individuals, others, organizations for sure, and also society improve and become a better place. We really appreciate that.
Thank you so very much. I really am honored again. And yes, to more leaders, and absolutely for what you do as an organization to be able to highlight and shine a spotlight on those great leaders that we have, because we have a lot of them. And they just need to be amplified that much more, so that the converse is balanced out. So we're not just always hearing about the lack of leadership, but we can also celebrate great leaders around us, because there's a lot of them. And I thank you for that. And may you continue to thrive in that area.